Hello, everyone. And Heather. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited for this interview today. We are going to be talking to one of my favorite clients in the entire world, Heather Fisher. Hi, Heather. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. Hello, hello.
So, Heather, let me give you a little introduction. This is my completely impromptu introduction, mix of professional and personal. Heather is a natural born leader, educator, soul seeker, and a person who really wants to make a contribution to the world in a meaningful way. Heather is the owner of a beautiful Pilates studio, brick and mortar Pilates studio in Minneapolis, and has really done achieved incredible feats of superhuman variety in the last couple of years. And as of the recording of this, I want you all to know that, we're still in the pandemic. Here we are 2 years after the pandemic started. You can imagine Heather has a brick and mortar wellness business. Like Heather, in the time that we've been working together, which has been about a year and a half, I want to say, Heather, Heather has had to close her business at least twice since I've been working with her and, pivot 185 different times, and what I want to just lead by saying is that Heather's had insane results. Like she's gone from that doer of all the do's mode that many of us founders and business owners kind of start in, working like 40 to 50 hours a week, to now 18 hours a week, Heather, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only at the studio delivering maybe 10-ish hours a week. So,
Right.
yeah, between that
and then some behind the scenes. Yeah.
So I would say 18 is
exactly.
probably between 18 and 20.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And during this time where so many, volume-based businesses that, Heather, just like most wellness business owners, doesn't have like some kind of high ticket business. It's like smaller offers, like 100, 500, maybe 1,000 at the most, per month, something like that. But in this wild time, Heather has actually increased her revenues, which is a total miracle. Amazing. By last count, it was like 15% from pre-pandemic. It's probably even more now because we haven't talked about this in a month or two. And I will say, Heather, that like I've seen you in the last year and a half really develop like a soul satisfaction with what you're doing, and like a trust that like the way you want to grow your business is the way you're going to do it, rather than needing to do it like everyone else, or like our industry even says that we have to. So everyone, this is Heather. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. What an introduction.
I know. How do you feel hearing all that? What does it make you feel?
It's wild. I really do see how, it's just wild to think that you can run a brick and mortar wellness business in a sort of mindful, high touch fashion and still make these tweaks to make it more profitable. And as the owner of one of these businesses, like I think a lot of us start, like you said, in delivering services because we're healers and we're, people who want to help people. So we're out there like in the trenches doing the thing. And then we sort of just fall into business ownership or entrepreneurship. And so there's like an unraveling process of like, yes, I still love teaching and I still love educating my clients and serving my clients that way. But stepping into this like role of being the leader of the studio and mentoring my teachers and developing roles within my business so that other people can take on some of that day-to-day stuff. That's really been, I think, the meat of our journey together is what I felt the biggest kind of like just divorcing from all of that, all of the day to day and seeing that there is another way, even though we are small and, all of that stuff is scary. You're like, oh, how am I going to pay a manager? How am I going to, like it's all doable. And that's what
Right. Yeah,
other people
totally.
can see because, I was in the boat before we started working together where I wanted to scale and I wanted to, make the business more profitable, but I just could not see a way that didn't require me pouring more of my energy and life force, which is already kind of at its cap. By the time the pandemic rolled around and we shut down, I was like, oh, I can just take a nap now, because I literally
Yeah.
did not have anything more to give at that point. So figuring out a way to scale, to increase revenues, to increase, our touch and our impact without that meaning I have to work myself harder. That was a that was a huge
And
shift.
I don't you think that, like, in my experience, that was a story I told myself also when I was at a stage of growing one of my businesses like you were at, that, "Oh, if I'm gonna scale the business, if I'm gonna make more money and make this more profitable, then it's going to require me working harder, me working more hours." And that was like a construct I was living in and also living out, like experiencing.
Mhm.
Uh, and I actually had to change the construct to even understand how I could grow my business, but without sacrificing my health, my peace, my privacy, which I want to talk about as well today because I want you all to know. First of all, welcome. I'm Kiki Lovelace, everyone. I gave Heather an introduction, but I just want to pause and say I am a serial entrepreneur. I have over 20 years experience growing 4 different brands. I currently have a brick and mortar Pilates and yoga studio myself, a wellness business. And I also am an embodied leadership and success mentor for my conscious business owner and founder and CEO clients like Heather. And actually, what we're going to talk about today is one of my specialties. I really do help a lot of my clients go from the altitude of doer to manager to leader, CEO, creatrix, visionary, which is exactly the arc Heather has been on in the last 18 months, like illustrates it perfectly. And so one of the things I want to like just kind of nip in the bud right now for any of you watching this is that, I think a lot of us think that there's 2 ways to scale our business. One is what we were just talking about, is like working more hours. The other construct that is, by the way, completely made up and not true, is now you have to spend a ton of money on ads and have some elaborate marketing strategy and be like super out there with your social media. And I'm bringing this up because Heather has like consciously chosen not to focus on that and actually has been growing her business in all these other ways using all these other methods. But really, at a certain point, I tend to attract a lot of online coaches and consultants, as well as wellness business owners and other people, um, to my coaching containers. So Heather like witnessed a lot of her compadres like being out there on the social media with these high ticket offers, and Heather kind of kept looking at me. I remember this last summer, Heather, where you were like, I don't know if I want that. Like, I'm not sure if that's really what I'm here for. So can you tell our people like how you feel about being a leader who also wants privacy? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of thinking about this earlier today and I was like, well, at the end of the day, I started this line of work and business so that I could do something else. This was like my side hustle so that I could do my true love, which was like performing and choreographing and doing theater and stuff. And so I was like, well, I'll just teach Pilates so that I can do theater. And I was like, oh, like I have a whole other life outside of this business and outside of what I do. And I really like that. Like I like that there's a separation between my life in the studio and my personal life, because I don't think I would want, I don't know, I don't want my persona to be this Pilates teacher, etc. Like that's just, I don't know, there's more facets to who I am than that. So I feel like if I were to be out there being like, this is my brand and I'm this like health or wellness guru, like it just wouldn't ring true because that's just not 100% who I am. Nor do I
Hmm.
necessarily want to be, yeah, I just don't necessarily feel the need to be out there and to put everything out there like that. So yeah, I
Yep.
don't know, I think the clients that I serve and the people that come to our studio like still feel like they know me and they know our brand, but I don't know, there's like a different way for us to transmit that versus being really active on social media. And honestly, a lot of our clients aren't on social media. They don't care. They're like,
Yeah,
they
totally,
like to come
totally.
into the studio or join us for class and like, they don't care what we're posting. Most of them don't even see it when I do post.
Right, right.
So yeah,
Right,
I
so I
feel like
want you all to know that, like, yeah, like, Heather really made a lot of these moves and grew her business tremendously, both inside and out, without really focusing much on marketing, like, that actually wasn't really the focus in the last couple years. I'm sure you have plans, Heather, on how you wanna shift that at some point, maybe, but the truth
mhm,
is that really wasn't the thing, that moved the needle for you. And I know for you, you did, and you shared this with me earlier before we started recording that you thought for a second, do I have like some visibility blocks or like what's going on there? But actually, I mean, I'll say what I witnessed in you is that actually you just got over the past 18 months, I saw you get more and more confident in your ability to discern what's in alignment for you and what's not. Even if it goes against the grain, even if like your other compadres in my coaching containers are doing something different, even if you don't even see anyone else doing the thing you're doing, I noticed you just continuing to go, you know what? That's misaligned. Like a perfect example, Heather, is like how you decided that in terms of delivery, you were into like short containers, like things that had a start and an end, not like a standing commitment. Can you talk a little bit about like what that feels like to grow your business around your own felt sense of alignment and kind of just like doing whatever the F you want? Can you talk about that, please?
yes, I mean, I think in our work together, I've gotten so that I trust myself so much more. And it can be so tempting to follow what the herd is doing, as far as like what our industry is doing. But I know like did not feel a lot of resonance with a lot of the different studios I worked at or went to, or, just in my journey from starting doing Pilates to becoming a teacher to owning my own studio, like there was just a lot of studios that I walked in and was like, eh, So I feel like I should, deep down know that what I do is not like I'm not following any formula, a
Right,
hundred
right.
percent. But I think working with you has helped to strengthen that trust in, like, you know, trusting that what I'm doing is working, even if it's not what everyone else is doing, and being
Mm,
okay with that, and being okay to kind of break some of the rules, or yeah, just if there's something I really want to do, I'm going to do it. Likewise, if there's something that I really don't feel aligned with, I'm not going to do it. So I feel like seeing a lot of the people in the mastermind, developing these personal brands and high ticket offers, like that was interesting to me. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe someday, but that's not where I'm at right now. It feels like the goodness is in really like getting this brick and mortar to a place where it's kind of sustainable, and and I'm working a little bit in it, but not I'm not at my desk 24/7. So, yeah, it was a definite
correct.
process of like kind of second guessing and then nope, trusting. And I know you've been great at supporting me
Mm,
through that, because I'm like, am I supposed to be doing something else? I don't know. But a lot of the work we did together was like all this deep, really deep stuff that I had to unearth to step into more of a leadership role
mm.
and really start to be that leader of my business. There's a lot of under the surface stuff that I had to unearth and deal with and calibrate to. I feel like I'm kind of at the tail end of this big calibration to be ready to sort of go into the next phase.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think we kept our eye on the prize. Like we always knew because you had shared this with me like very early on that like one of your dreams as a business owner was to have location freedom so you could spend more time with your family. Like that was a really big thing. And obviously you knew that like you were at your time max so that was a big thing for you. And I feel like maybe you could speak to this a little bit like on a spiritual level I think I witnessed you, like, and I see this a lot in my clients where they're not really meant, they're meant for leadership. They're just naturally a leader, and so they're sort of frustrated when they don't have the time or the team to implement their magnificent ideas, which they have all the time. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was very stuck in the catch-22 of like, "Oh, I need someone to help me with all this stuff at the studio, but, like, I don't have the time to develop this role, train someone, hold their hand while they learn it, all of that stuff." So, part of what gave me that space and time was the pandemic, to be honest,
Mhm. Mhm.
to
Right.
really like dig in because I had a laundry list of things when I took over the business in 2016 that I was like, oh, it would be great to do this. It'd be great to do this. And, of course, on that is like hiring more teachers and getting some support staff and things like that in. But it's just really hard to even think on that level when you're so like in the day to day. Um, so I just had to get knocked off that hamster wheel, which I'm
Right.
grateful that I did, as much as the pandemic was and is still a bummer. But um, yeah, yeah. So it's definitely that thing of like I think I was kind of waiting for waiting to blossom into that leadership role, but if you're doing everything and teaching all the classes and doing all the little things, it's like you don't have the space to
No,
become that.
no.
So I also had
Right.
like some I will fully acknowledge some like codependency and people pleasing and workaholism
Oh,
that I
yeah.
had to unwind because a lot of that was like keeping me real safe and comfortable. So it
Yeah,
was
and
way
we
more
certainly
comfortable for me.
addressed that. Right, to stay as it was. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, you had this, like, this very large chapter, I remember probably in the first, I don't know, 9 months or so we were working together, of your theme was automate and delegate, automate and delegate. You said it all the time, and you really, like, took a lot of action to automate and delegate. It was not, like, fun, really. It was, like, just a lot of to-dos and, like, getting it done and following through, and to your point, it brought up a ton of stuff, as it does. Like, who are you if you're not working so hard all the time?
Mhm.
Can you talk to, like, that identity shift, because that part is so interesting. It's like that you're becoming a leader that has more time spaciousness, and, like, how do you do it? Yeah, just give it to us. Like, how was that
Mm.
transition for you?
Well, it's weird because like the thing that I wanted more than anything was more time and space and like you said, location freedom. And then as soon as I started to get little hints of it, it was terrifying. Because I realized so much of my identity was tied up into how many hours I put in and like, was I like coming to solve this problem and, fix this thing? And if I wasn't the one solving the problem, was it getting solved correctly? Or, were things getting taken care of the way that I would have done it? And I just really had to accept the fact that, that's part of delegation is you have to train the people well, but also trust and believe that they will take care of things and that if things don't go well the first time, it's just like a learning experience for both of you. Like, how can I support you while you figure this out? And, um, how can we clarify things so that it's easier next time there's a situation that comes up that my manager has to solve or whatever. So, yeah, so not being the person who does everything, knows how to do everything. Like, yeah, that was really kind of weird to let go of that. But now I'm pretty fully, I feel like that ship has sailed, thank God,
I
because
know, you're so good at it now.
it's so good to like
Totally.
hear my manager, and she's great because she won't like report to me when things happen, but when we have our meeting, she's like, "Oh, by the way, this came up and I dealt with it this way." I was like, "Great, that's cool, perfect, you're doing great."
Amazing, amazing.
So yeah, so it's good, and having to really like clarify boundaries with her and all of that has been just so helpful for me to the whole process because when it's like your business and your baby, I feel like the boundaries aren't built in very well. You know?
At
It's
all.
like, no, no,
Right,
no, no. You're
correct.
just kind of, yeah. So
Right.
having to sort of, start to build these things in uh, has been very good. In fact, I just, as of this week, told my staff I'm taking Friday and Saturday off completely every week, and like, don't call me if something goes wrong.
Yes, huge win.
So,
I
because
wanna
I realize
celebrate
that,
that,
like,
yes.
even when I'm not there, I'm not doing anything work related, I'm not teaching, like, I'm still the one that gets the phone call when
Sure.
someone's sick in the morning, because that happened to me last weekend. So I was like,
Right,
this isn't
right,
cool.
right.
So yeah, just,
Wow.
it's constant process. But yeah, so stepping into that leadership role
Mm.
was very scary. But it feels good. It feels like I'm wearing a coat that fits a lot better now.
Yeah, totally. It looks good on you. I wanna say one more piece, is that, we said let's celebrate that, like, 2 days off, no one can call me. That's amazing. But another thing that you and I were celebrating just a couple weeks ago, which was, like, an epic feat, was this 9-day vacation where you went away, no one died, like, the studio was actually, like, totally fine. You didn't even have to respond to any emails. I think you, like, popped on your email for a hot second just to see what was going on, but, like, you had such boundaries around your device, around your sacred vacation, even around a mastermind call, which you didn't show up to, which you never don't show up to any, like, you always show up to everything, so I just thought that was so cool. So, like, what was that like for you to actually have vacation brain? Like, I feel that that is, as an entrepreneur, like, a kind of fair unicorn that most of us remember from a past life, but, like, we don't. So, like, what was it like?
Oh my god. Well, it was that day where we had the scheduled mastermind call, and I was planning on just hopping in on the call and like doing it from our like oceanside villa that we rented. And I just sat there and I was like, you know what? My brain is like not in work mode, and it's so used to toggling in and out of work mode
Mm.
that that would have been day like 5 of our vacation, I think, so like right in the middle. And it probably took, a good 3 or 4 days to get out of work mode, but just
Yeah.
realizing that I like literally was not able to toggle back into work mode. And that was like, "Oh, I guess I'm actually on vacation." Because I've never felt that before. I've
Oh.
always been like, "Okay, I could answer this email, or I get this phone call, something went wrong." Um, but yeah,
Can
yeah, and
can you
I
tell us,
realized,
like, what your fiancé said about that? Would you mind sharing?
I think because he is always the one who's like, looking at his watch, like, time to put the laptop away, come sit on the
Right.
couch, stop doing. He's the polar opposite of me, which is very good for me. So I
Mm,
think for him, it was nice to see me relax, and he didn't
mm.
have to like remind me to, he didn't have to be the one being like, hey, are you answering work emails? It's 8 o'clock p.m. on your vacation. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. So for him, it was like a big, oh, you're just doing this now. I don't have to remind you. Um, so he definitely sees the difference, and he sees how much I've sort of detached from the business in a way.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that we do have way more when I'm not at work, I'm not at work. So that's been great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, give us, like, one more little piece. Give us, like, what's next for you? Like, a business owner's rise trajectory never ends really. So I know you have things like percolating. Like, what do you feel like is next for you in terms of, like, growth edge, or what you want to call in, or yeah.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to. So, like as you mentioned, my theme for the past year was automate and delegate, and it was huge on getting our processes really airtight and training my team and getting
Mhm.
automations to click in, and with the like end result that we could scale. That I had this nice funnel built and like all the cogs in place, so I could just pour more people into it. So I feel like the past year has really been like getting the back end all spiffy so that I can now start to do more, like you mentioned with marketing, um, to just draw more people in so we can
Mm,
scale. So marketing is going to be a big thing that I'm going to be working on. Just getting more consistent at it and finding that voice that's like mine, that's not doing what everyone else is doing. Because I see
mm,
a lot of the same, out there, and
totally.
I know our clients are different. I know the people that we attract are looking for something different. So I'm curious to find that, I think a lot of it's going to have to get pulled out of me of like, okay, what are we actually doing? If we're not following the mold of a Pilates studio, what is it that we're doing that's so different and so special? Because, we have something special going. Um, so along with
Amazing.
that, just kind of like dialing in our numbers so that we're getting more profitable. So I really want to, like, now that we're bringing in more revenue, more clients, I really want to scale it in so that, I'm getting as much out of it as possible, I guess, for lack of a better way
Awesome.
of putting
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah,
Uh,
you told me that like numbers, you really wanna, like, get super confident with your numbers, with your profitability, with, like, cash flow management and all that stuff, and that's, like, another chapter. I love it.
mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and I know profitability is a huge factor in, like, valuation, so, not that I wanna sell anytime soon, but
Someday.
just, yeah, getting it all spiffy, so if the time
Awesome.
comes that I could do that, so.
Oh my god, I have so many clients that are saying the same exact thing as you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, everyone, I first of all, Heather, thank you. Thank you for giving us like a little glimpse into your world in this last couple years of your life. It's actually amazing the things that you've done and just like the shoom you've been on. And I want to invite you all who are watching. I have a couple of different ways that I can serve you in kind of hitting some of the same notes as Heather. One of them that's coming to mind is my year-long embodied leader experience, which Heather is about to jump into upon graduation from the mastermind. And that is a year-long pass to all of my live paid workshops, master classes, programs. It really is like the great way to enter if you want to have a trajectory like Heather. If you uh, consider yourself a leader and you're ready to build your business so that you can actually experience yourself as a leader. We have classes on dream team dynamics, the aligned CEO, equity, fluent leadership, all kinds of incredible juicy topics. So email me for the payment link if you're interested in that. It's a rolling enrollment, so we just start you off with our next event. And then the mastermind actually that I have in mind for some of you who would like to have these kind of deeper conversations is called the Energetics of Success. It's an 8-month mastermind. We start in a couple weeks on March 9th, and we will go all the way through to almost the holidays to Thanksgiving. And that one is for those of you who, just like Heather, like you know, you might be sitting there thinking like, I made the dream, but it's no effing dream. Like, how do I actually sculpt the day-to-day reality of like running my business into the financial freedom, the time freedom, the location freedom, the creative and spiritual freedom that you always imagined that your business would be? That's what I help my people do is like take their dream and actually make it into a reality. That's pretty much where I swoop in and help my people. And yeah, we start just like you've probably intuited from hearing Heather and I speak, is like we start not with my idea of how you should grow your business. We start really every conversation with, what do you want? What are we working on here? What is it that you want? What makes you feel successful? you know Heather, do you want to add to that? Is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, yeah, just that, the focus of, well, the big overarching theme, I think, in, like, all of your programs has been, like, finding that alignment with your inner desires, and that's something
Mm,
that it's kind of revolutionary to think that, like, your success could be pulled from your innate desires, and
mm,
so it's not about, a prescription for success. It's not about, like, do what's worked for other people, even though you're very open about what's worked for you and what hasn't worked
mhm,
for you, but it's always been like turn back inward, like, what's aligned for you, what are your desires, what's the next step, And so having
Nice.
that really individualized support and bringing it always back to, is it aligned for you? Is it in line with your desires? Like that has really like put the path out in front of me to follow. Just keeping coming back to that and keep listening to those innermost desires. Because if I hadn't had this desire for time freedom and location freedom, I wouldn't have gone on this huge rambling journey to setting up a team and all of the things I've done to sort of become more of a leader and get myself detached from the day to day. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So y'alls, if you're interested in that higher touch program, my daughter is like leaning in to say hello. If you're interested in that higher touch program, the Energetics of Success Mastermind, um, then I invite you to PM me for the application and we can talk about it if it'd be the right fit for you. Thank you, Heather, and thank you everyone for watching. Heather, let's put your link to your studio website in the chat in the comments below. I'll put it in there and I'll tag you too, so that people can check out your studio and check out your beautiful brand and all the things that you're doing. So, thanks
thank
everyone. Have a
you.
great day.
Bye.
Bye.